So you want to make sure that everything is up to date. Do not wait, because those who wait won't be great. Just want to make it rhyme. But I'm being serious though. Those who wait and take their time are the ones who are in those 1 month, 2 month, 3 months, 6 month times without an actual job that actually pays you. And I know me personally, like, I can't wait for that time, because after 6 months, for those who use loans, the repayment period starts. So that little grace period ends, and now they want their money. They want their money. Now, some people do get to get on income-based repayments, which you might have to pay zero to something, but it's just the whole idea. Like, who really wants to work a long period of time where you're not getting funds? And for my profession and sport management, we don't make that much out the gate. So it's going to be very hard for me to sit out for a few months earning nothing and then earn a small salary, knowing that I have a large bill to come. So, yeah. Would you agree with that?
Yeah, definitely. Once that 6 month mark hits, that's when it'll hit your bank account or whatever. They're gonna start calling you.
Like, oh my gosh, they're gonna start calling, they're gonna email you, don't text you.
Right. So yeah, try to get a job. And I know it's not easy for everyone. Definitely wasn't easy for me, because I always get nervous interviewing. But yeah, the earlier the better.
Yeah, I would say, just based off what you just said, for those who are nervous, again, go to your student services or student enrollment, whatever it's called. I don't know everybody's name. Go there, because they have those mock interviews, and it definitely will help. So a lot of y'all use the and all this other stuff, and they will go ahead and critique all of that. So make your interview with someone who's could be a possible manager. It'll make it more professional, and that's something you want to definitely get into. So I want to tell you to make sure that you're trying to apply for jobs, apply for careers way in advance. I'm gonna say definitely about a month. This way they can't say they didn't get your application, and make sure that you call, okay, to make sure that they got your application. You just basically say, hi, I'm such and such. I'm just calling to get an update on my application. And if you did not receive it, I can definitely resend it. That's all you got to do, is give yourself some time. And for those who aren't going into a career and you're going to grad school, make sure you start applying and looking into grad school. And I'm gonna let Lo tell you about grad school and what you should need.
Yeah, so grad school is interesting. Well, to me, it was like fun, because at this point, everyone is focused on their career. Everyone knows what they want to do, and everyone's really about their business. So the first step to grad school, other than researching and everything we already talked about, is passing the GMAT. It's different, way different. I mean, it has the similarities to the SATs or ACTs, but it's definitely focused on more business things. So definitely passing that. But after you pass that and you get into the school that you want, it's definitely a great experience. You're going to do a lot of writing, even in math. When I had to do accounting and finance, I still had to write. So be prepared for writing. And you think the workload in undergrad is a lot. Once you get to grad school, that's all day, everyday thing. But I mean, they're not going to tire you out or nothing like that. But it's definitely more responsibility once you get there.
I can definitely understand that, because I told my friends that we are in the same grade level or class, we're gonna call it. But in our program, they got a 4-1 program, which you can get a master's in about 5 years instead of 6. So they're taking grad classes now, and they take the normal classes during the summer. So they got a bit of a mix. But to go back to, the typing and the writing, I see it, because they're typing papers consistently every week. I'm talking about a few pages, way more than what I would do. And I can see the stress in them between, their normal undergrad classes versus their grad classes, but they're smiling more in their undergrad classes. Like, I can tell that it's definitely more energy, and it really puts not the burden on you, but it really puts you in the mindset to focus and get things done and really be about, like you said, your business. or else, you're gonna have a big issue. And one thing I do want to tell people is make sure that going to grad school is going to be actually beneficial, because there are some professions where going to grad school isn't going to be too much of a need, you can say. And I say that being a little bit biased, but getting inside information, because like, as I stated, talking to people on LinkedIn gives you the opportunity to get insight. And I found this one guy who did exactly what I was going to do, because he went through the same internship that I wanted, in which I don't have that I want because I didn't want it no more. It's too hot in Florida. But he went through the same internship program that I was going to apply to. Came from the same program. So he's in sport management. He got a master's, but he got his in 6 years instead of 5. And I asked him, I'm like, is it necessary? Is it needed? And he implicitly stated that no, it is not needed. Yes, it's helpful, but it's not needed for us, because when you go into an organization, at least for a sport organization, they don't know you. So yes, you got these nice, beautiful papers, but they want to know if what these papers are stating can actually be verified from what you can do. So they want to actually see you start from entry level and work your way up. So from that information, I said, thank you. Just because, hey, I'm tired of school. I'm over it. And that's just me. But I want to know, before I invest more money into college, is it actually going to give me a bit of a boost when it comes to career? And from based off what he said, no, it is not. He said, you start from the bottom like everybody else, and you work your way up. So that paper, yeah, you learn more classes, you got more experience, but you still are starting at an entry level. Just for some fact is, you are new to the company and you need to prove yourself. Kind of just like going to a new team when you play in sports. Like, they don't know you, so you start from the bottom and you work your way up from JV to varsity, and now you're a starter. That's just how some organizations work. So I'm not going to say grad school isn't important and isn't needed, but just make sure you do some research on your career and talk to people in your field to make sure that it's what is going to actually benefit you, and not just because someone told you to get a master's.
Right.
Great. So the last bonus comparison that we want to give you guys is comparing the PWI to an HBCU. So I didn't get HBCU experience, but my awesome guest did. So I can give you guys PWI experience, which is predominantly white institution. But I'm going to let her start off with her HBCU experience. So tell them.
Yeah, I totally am in support of HBCUs. My kid, when I have kids, they're going to HBCUs, nothing else. I just feel like it's important, and it's a rare time. College is a rare time in your life to practice adulthood and everything like that. And the uniqueness of being in an environment with people that look like you, and people that want to strive for succeed. You guys definitely all have similar mindsets, or you wouldn't be in college, period. So I definitely think that if going to a HBCU is something that you've been thinking about, definitely go. It's like no other experience that you'll have. Your professors will be your aunties, your uncles. I done had since I live in Michigan and I went to school in Florida, there's been times or holidays where I couldn't go home. So there's been professors who, giving me a plate, had somewhere to go on these holidays, giving me rides to the airport when I needed to go home and I didn't have a car. And it's just kind of like being home away from home. And I just love the aspect of, our culture. And it's just something very special. I don't know how to describe it. It's just a very special experience.
Yeah, I'm gonna say time out. Wait, do you drive? Did you drive to Florida? Or yeah, did you drive to Florida now?
Yeah, I drove from Florida to Michigan a few times. So when my parents dropped me off, we drove down there. That's a 16-hour drive, which I kind of got used to. So, but once I got my car, I just started road tripping places. So driving to me now is not really anything big. I mean, of course, I stay safe, but
Right.
it's just not that big of a deal to drive 16 hours. Like when somebody says, "Oh, I have to drive 8 hours," I'm like, "Oh, well, that's not bad." They're like, "Not bad." I'm like, "I had to drive 16, 17 hours. So if I can do that, 8 hours isn't bad." So yeah, I didn't have a car my first 2 years. Yeah. But after that, I had a car.
That I'm just like, she's Florida. I was my grandmother keep trying to go back on a trip to Florida. I'm just like, 14 hours. We're not going there. I don't know. I think I just get tired of being very still. Like, because my school is 6 hours away, and like you said, after a course, like you don't feel it no more. You just kind of get used to it. Like it's a little boring at times by itself, but with the right music, you can get through it. But yeah, 15. Goodness.
And the right podcast.
Yeah, exactly. The right podcast will get you right through the moment. For sure. So from my perspective, like at PWI, if you are a minority group, you are still the minority group. So at my school, I chose it because it had a decent diversity. It's still heavily, a white institution, and that was okay. So I went there because I wanted a bit of diversity. So like, I love my people, me and my colored people, but I feel like I needed a break. I'm like, one, I need a break from my people, but two, I really wanted to learn, right? So what I mean by that is, in college, these people are your peers, but once y'all leave college, that person is your competitor to an extent. Like that's somebody who can benefit you, but a lot of times you're competing with that person. That's why y'all are in the same program. Y'all kind of are learning the same things. And one thing that I took, with one of my friends took, is that we know that we get the lower end when it comes to jobs. So one thing that we said we were going to do was get out of our comfort zones and go to one of these, institutions where we can learn from those who are getting the jobs quicker than we do. And there's nothing against them, and there's nothing against us, but it's more so how we know society is working. So what I chose to do was go to a PWI just so I can learn from the people who commonly get the job. Oh my gosh, who commonly get the jobs, and learn what do they do before they hit the field. And that's why I say, like, learning from Austin of just networking. I'm like, I don't think I would have done it as much and as heavily as I did had I not spoken to him and seen how much he was doing as a freshman. Because I'm just like, oh my God, I'm like, it's some, people, some grown people who wish they were doing what he was doing. So I'm like, if he's starting that now, I'm like, okay, I need a jump start. And like, I was always one person who took everything serious. But like seeing that, I'm like, all right, that's motivation. I'm like, that guy is like up here right now. I'm like, what do I need to do to get to that level? Because his experience comparing resumes, I'm like, he's kicking mine out of the gate. So I'm like, all right, let me figure out what do I need to do, or who do I need to learn from to get to that, that point. And at a PWI, at times you kind of, what do you want to say? You find your groups. Now, I have quite a bit of white friends, and I love them. They're so cool. But, you kind of gravitate to your initial minority when you first walk in there. So, of course, everybody that I first knew were Black, besides my best friend, because I met her in class. But other than that, everybody else was Black. And we all kind of gravitated to each other because we were comfortable. Like, this is who we knew, this is what we were used to. Like, I felt that jokes that I could make and that they could make, we can do it with each other with no issues. And like you were stating, how you found comfort into people where if you couldn't drive home, couldn't go home, they'll, kind of treat you like family. And that's what I found in my initial groups, where it's like, okay, I can't drive home because I didn't have my car for the first 2 years, or I didn't feel like driving home. So the next best thing was I call her my sister or my brothers. Like, I go to Philly, or I will go to Jersey or New York, and I'll get treated like family. So at a PWI, it offers some good, you can say some good accommodations, depending on what you make out of it. But I think the real difference is, like, you have diversity there, but it's a little bit limited. And you sometimes gravitate to your people just because that's what you're comfortable with. But the opportunity of other cultures there and other races, or whatever you want to call them, that they're there, it gives the opportunity, and kind of, in a sense, may force you to speak with those people. Because like, once you leave college and into the career field, there are going to be many people that aren't like you that you have to learn how to communicate with. And that's one of the things I had to do, is learn how to get out of my Cleveland language and talk more general, more universal, so I can have better, effective communication and conversations, especially since I'm a communication minor. Like, golly. So I would say that will be our quick differences, you can say. So to wrap up the show.
I think can you hear me?
I can hear you.
Hello?
Can you not hear me? Can you hear me?
I can hear you.
Okay, you can hear me now?
Yeah. I was gonna say, to go back to the point of versus HBCU, I don't want to look at it as one's better than the other or anything like that. But I feel like when it comes to HBCUs, we get this stigma of lack of diversity, and us not getting, I guess, high quality jobs. Or you feel that see these other races striving, and that can look like to other people within your race that you don't think that we strive. So when it comes to diversity at a HBCU, it's very diverse than what people would expect. Black people are diverse themselves. I had a friend, I would have never, had a class with somebody or met somebody from London, in any other aspect of my life. Or I learned more about Caribbean cultures like Haiti and all those type things. We've also had white people on campus as well. But we're going to be dealing with diversity for the rest of our lives, if you like it or not, especially living in the United States, which is a quote unquote melting pot. So saying that the lack of diversity within the HBCU is like a bad thing, it's really not. We still learn how to talk to other races, and when it comes to jobs, all jobs, if you like it or not, have to meet a quota when it comes to hiring minorities. And they usually come to HBCUs first, especially those well-known ones. I work at a big tech company right now. Google has came to our school, Amazon, every big company that you can ever think of comes to our schools and recruit our students. Also, when it comes to Black people in education and HBCUs, 85% of doctors graduate from HBCUs, 50% of pharmacists, 75% of PhDs are at HBCUs, 50% of engineers. So you can meet all types of people. Even the dude that took Bill Gates' job is a Black guy, and he went to my school. There's been, I've been in school for like 5-6 years. I've met 3 US presidents, Joe Biden, Bill Clinton, and things of that nature. So it's like people know about us. Don't let the lack of diversity or you don't think you can get a good job. People, it's just not gonna work. I'm sorry, I just had to. Oh, you're in.
I was saying, you're good. You're
But
definitely
good. Yeah, just go where you feel like going. But I just, like I said, I'm 100% HBCU supporter. If it wasn't for my school, I don't know where I would be career-wise. So.
Yeah, I don't want people to think that I chose a PWI because I feel like HBCUs lacked the opportunity to give you what you want. Like you said, choose where you're comfortable at. And at that time period, I was more so in the competitive mindset, and that's what led me that way. But then I also didn't want to change schools because I just felt like it was going to cost more. But I'm not going to lie, I definitely kind of wish I was at HBCU because whenever my brother and my sister are at HBCUs, and dang, Jackson State, Central State, I'm like, oh my God, the environments, like it's something intriguing. And that's one thing I said was going to take campuses before I graduate or before they graduate. So that's going to be something. But you guys got to hear a little bit of difference between PWIs and HBCUs, and she brought out some amazing statistics. Okay, and I love statistics. I love facts. It's awesome. So take take what you felt was most important, at least from what both of us said, and especially from what she said, because her points kind of beat my points because it brought in statistics. And again, I love statistics no matter what. So, so to go ahead and wrap it up, Lo, what do you think is the biggest takeaway point that everyone should, you say, indulge in, or at least take away from this topic?
I say the biggest takeaway would be do what makes you happy at the end of the day. If college is going to get you to where you want to be, do that. If you find other routes, that's fine too. Whether you're an introvert or an extrovert, if you want something, you're going to go get it. No, you're not going to let obstacles stand in your way. And if you know your journey is to go and do higher education, do that. But do everything that makes you happy at the end of the day. Don't try to please people around you. Don't try to compare yourself to others. Oh, I see you uniquely created to do different things and bring different things into the world. So don't compare. And my last point would be, well, I guess I don't have one. Just do what makes you happy. Don't listen. Don't do what your parents want you to do, because at the end of the day, if that's not what you want to do, you'll be miserable. So just do you, and you'll be fine.
Love it. Love it. I would say, honestly, my point was basically her point. Like, make sure you do what makes you happy, but whatever you choose, make sure you have an exit strategy. So I guess that'll be my point off of hers, because her point, make sure you do what you love and makes you happy. And then my point is, after you choose that, make sure you have an exit strategy, because we know life has its turns and has its faults. So just make sure that whatever you choose, you got a backup plan. So maybe college isn't for you and you decide to do a trade, or just you got a job that actually is more interesting. Just make sure that you have that backup plan, because again, everything makes turn for, because it's life. And you just want to make sure that you're prepared, or at least be in the mindset to know what you want to do next in case things take a turn. So we're going to leave it at that. So I'm going to thank my awesome, amazing guest, Lo, for joining us today. Let them know again where they can find you.
Well, thank you for having me. You can find me on Instagram or Twitter at Let's Talk with Lo.